everybody, happy Monday, how are you? So what I would like to talk about today is the difference between cultural expectations and nurturing the authentic self. So hi, good morning, I'm Paola, I'm a success coach and professional tango dancer in Austin, Texas, and I love doing those happy Mondays because I believe in starting the week right, and I love sharing what I have found in the past years in my life to be a really productive way to build habits and get everything you want. It does take a little bit of work, but that being said, it's completely doable and it's completely achievable. So with the Me Too movement, with a lot of sexual harassment things coming up, something interesting is happening is that, and it's not surprising, but I think it's just more powerful right now and it's more visible, is that the cultural expectation that women have to behave a certain way and do certain things is extremely apparent. And it is mostly apparent when it comes to other women saying, well, what's the big deal? They're making it up. Or are they making it up? It's one thing when the perpetrators are the ones that are saying there is some overreactions or there are some lies. But when it comes to women, other women, which are most likely have been sexually harassed in some form or fashion at some point or another, because we've all been there. It's just who's talking about it, who's not talking about it. And being part of a problem or being part of a solution. So this is not a rant, and this is not about women have to do certain things or people that have been the recipient of sexual harassment have to behave in a certain way. I don't believe in that. But I do believe in people connecting with the authentic self or realizing that they are behaving in a way because that's the way they were brought up, or that's the way that the cultural environment has set them up for. And so that's the safe way to do things. And when it comes to safety, I don't joke around. I mean, I am extremely strict with myself, with the people around me. Safety comes first. And it's not just the physical safety, it's the emotional safety. Will somebody feel safe? That's why we have agreements. That's why we have laws and rules. Because when we have those things, people have an area that they know, they can play with, they can act within, and they're going to be safe. That's why we tell our friends, hey, this is what I prefer, or I prefer you wouldn't do that. We give them some parameters to play within so they can feel safe knowing if I do that, it's okay. If I do that, it's not going to be okay, maybe I need to avoid doing that. And that's going to change from one person to the next. Cultural expectations are going to change from one country to the next. So we can keep focused on the United States. And on the United States, it is expected for women to be nice and smiling and pretty and agreeable. If we go against that cultural expectation, it doesn't feel safe. So for the ones of us out there, for the women that are saying, there is no sexual harassment here, or what's the big deal? I mean, it was just a past, it's just a thing. My mom said that. My mom shut down at the idea that one of us might have been sexually assaulted by a family member. She did. My mother. So it is not a surprise for me that some women out there, when it comes to somebody that they like, to maybe a famous person that they thought, oh, they're going, no, that can't be that person because that person, it's a safe association for me. That person does the right thing. That person would never do something that is harmful to women or that goes against my personal beliefs and personal values. When there is a disruption in our connections, we break the safety connection too. It doesn't feel safe to revisit what we thought was real and true. It scares the crap out of us. Everybody, there is no exception for that. The only question that comes after that is, what's next? Because if we keep things the way they are, in spite of the fact that we know what it is and it's safe, and our brain loves to know what it is because it feels safe. If we keep the things the way they are, what's going to happen next? If we change the things the way they are, what's going to happen next. The question is, where do we invest our energy and courage to get what we really want? So if we live in an environment and the cultural expectations are in alignment with your authentic self, you hit the jackpot. Congratulations. However, if we live in an environment and we find ourselves in disruption between our authentic self and the cultural expectations, we are cheating ourselves of who we are. We are disrupting who we can really become, and that's when we have the opportunity to have something change. Does that make sense? It's tough. It is so hard. We are hardwired for safety, and every time we disrupt something, because it is different, because it is going to change, our brain is on fire. Our brain goes into survival mode. And by the way, we don't make the best decisions when that takes place. But that's temporary too, because there is a way to train our brain. I've been doing it for years. I know it can be done. So when our brain fires up, we can ask ourselves those questions. And for me, the big question is, what's next? What's going to happen if we change something? What's going to happen if we don't change something? And when it comes to sexual harassment, for me, it's a no-brainer. I don't care whose feathers I'm going to ruffle. I don't care if men are going to have to deal with shame or triggers or blaming or readjusting their behavior. I don't care if women that thought that it was okay for men to use them have the opportunity to readjust. Because for me, what's next is men and women actually having balanced dynamics. It's not balanced right now. Personally, I don't think that's right. I don't think that's the optimum partnership of energies that we can have. We can do better than that. So I care about people and I care about their feelings, but it's a little bit like making a big meal. If I'm making a big meal in the kitchen, I don't care that it gets dirty. I'll clean it up. But I'm going to have a great meal at the end, and that's what matters to me. So, and meal because food, and it's Thanksgiving coming up, so I'm thinking about food. So when it comes to the dynamics between men and women, and the dynamics within ourselves, with our culture, with our environment. When I say culture, it can be your friends, it can be work, it can be your family. Who are you within? And how can you find the way to match that when you interact, when you express yourself, when you bring things in your life, when you bring things into other people's lives, right? That's what matters, in my opinion. It's an extremely important thing to figure out that will define your level of happiness and purpose in life. It's that serious. So this is your homework for the week. You're gonna have a big week. For some of us, it's going to be traveling, family, friends, lots of food, football. Don't follow that stuff, but I heard it's very popular. So it's going to be a big week, and you may have to readjust some things, and you may have to maybe brace yourself, or you're just going to have to abandon yourself in something that you know is going to be very joyful and connecting, but it's going to be a very high energy week, whatever you do. So I encourage you to be kind to yourself. If you want to figure out if something is really in alignment with what you believe in, just believe your guts, because your guts don't lie to you. Your heart doesn't lie to you. So just, feel your heart, just feel your tummy and see if your body is telling you something, because it's always talking to you. And you will know if it's something that agrees with you or doesn't. That's simple. That's it. Just pause, check in with yourself, and ask yourself, does that really line up with what I'm really about? And then go from there. Baby steps, okay? All right. So happy Thanksgiving for those of you that celebrate Thanksgiving. And until next week, reach for the greatest version of yourself. You can do it. Bye-bye.